The QPR podcast is supported by Ubico, the provider of rental cars by the hour, who are giving away over £2,000 in credit to our listeners. For your chance to win up to £250 in free credit towards away game travel, short journeys across town, or car club use, enter now at west12media.co.uk/enter. To find out more, visit ubico.co.uk or download their app now.
Okay. Second ad, just before we start, we have been nominated for the Football Blogging Awards. We need your votes. We're in the final 6 or 8, something like that. We need your vote to have any chance of winning. Really easy. If you go on our Twitter page, it is our pinned tweet, at QPR Pod. You click on the link and it will tell you how to vote for us. And if you don't vote for us and get all your friends to vote for us, then Donald Trump will become the next president of the United States of America. Roll podcast.
QPR, this Park Rangers are on the up and up. QPR, now we're heading for Europe.
Hello and welcome to Open All Hours, the QPR podcast. I'm David Fraser, and I am joined by 3 other QPR fans this evening, but I'm distracted because Chris Mendes, who's the first guest this evening, say hello to everyone, Chris.
Hello.
You're taking a picture, and I know why you're taking a picture, because you are convinced that Paul and I have come in the same outfit.
Exactly the same. I think Finney's probably gone through the wash a few more times because it's a slightly different shade, but I'm convinced it's the same shirt. I'm going to tweet a picture of it later.
Are you trying to say that whitewashing powder is not Daz?
I'm convinced it isn't.
What do they call it? Like gingham or something, this style. What do they call it? Or is it just checks? Check. We're both wearing a red and black check shirt, which is completely irrelevant to
We're basically
any QPR.
middle-aged men trying to cover our bellies.
Dennis the Menace.
Let's be honest. That's why we wear these check shirts.
Can I point out at this point that Paul is 10 years older than me, whilst he tries to club us together?
It's not my fault. You look well worn for your age. Some people around you had. Anyway.
Experience.
And Fraser's wearing his Martin O'Neill glasses as well.
I'm not wearing any glasses.
Very good. He's just done you.
I don't understand. I don't understand what just happened. Well, that leads us anyway. What did just happen? That leads us to our second guest, Rahul Desai.
Yeah, that's pretty good pronunciation.
Good, you like it?
Pretty good. Yeah, my mom would accept that pronunciation.
Good. I'm glad. So, you are welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
First time?
First time.
So you're a significant man, I'm sure, in any case, but in relation to the podcast, you're significant for 2 reasons. Number 1, you're the first guest ever to bring beer for us, or cider, to be precise.
Yes.
To be fair, what does everyone drink? Cider, I said.
Yes, so Rahul has brought 4 ciders with him. Not that Finney ever mentions that he likes cider, it's just a coincidence.
Irish ciders as well.
Are they Irish? Are they?
No,
yeah, they are. They're Magners. Very good. So thank you for that. The second thing is no one else is aware, and I'm only aware because basically my brother told me the other day. You are the 50th guest on the podcast. So not phone guest, like as in panelist or whatever we want to call it. In the 6 seasons or 5.5 seasons we've been doing it, Rahul, you are number 50.
Wow.
So congratulations.
Can I just say something?
Yes.
We've managed to get 50 people on this podcast.
I know, 50 different people.
Bless you all. Bless you all for coming. We appreciate it. 50 people, though. They only gave us a week.
And that leads us on to Paul Finney.
Oh, hello.
Co-founder of the QPR podcast.
You're a guest and I'm a co-founder, Mendes. Eh?
Did I call you a guest?
Yeah, I can't.
You're a co-founder as well. Okay. Paul, hello.
All right.
How are you?
I'm all right. I'm still half asleep from Saturday. Are we going to talk about football at some
Let's
point?
talk about football. Let me do the messages, as they say, that I need to do. First of all, shout out to Harry Gutteridge. Thank you, Harry. He's bought our beers for this evening, which you can do on our website, notwithstanding the beers that Rahul has already bought. So thank you very much, Harry. The second thing is, you've probably heard the ad at the top. We're doing a competition with Ubico, who you can rent cars by the hour with them, and they're giving our listeners up to £2,000 worth of car hire credit, including £250 for the winner. All you need to do is go onto our website, and we will pull out the winners at random after November the 4th. So on our website is west12media.co.uk/enter. That is that. Everybody, the only other messages I need to go through is to remind you of our Twitter address, which is at QPRPod, and our website, which is qprpod.co.uk, if you want to listen to any old episodes. Okay, we also have Peter Hucker coming up, ex-QPR goalie, who was there on Saturday, and we'll talk about that in a bit. Which means everything on my list has been done, and now finally, 6-7 minutes in, we have to talk about Reading. The game against Reading. Yes, precisely.
The battle of the hoops, eh?
Yeah. It was pretty dull. I think for about 10 minutes in the second half, it looked like we were going to start to play well. It was kind of exciting. Just after Washington came on, we started to play well for 10 minutes. And it's funny how the atmosphere lifted as QPR looked like they might forge some decent attacks, but then it just kind of fizzled out again. And it was pretty poor, to be honest, at home, only having 2 shots on target.
Yeah. Paul?
I'm not going to moan because I get accused of being a bit of a moaner. I don't know why. This is based. It's lies. I'm telling you. I'm not. I'm the most happiest person that ever lived. I just hide it well. It was a pair of shite. Honestly, I'm baffled. I am baffled by what we're doing at home. On every game, it seems to get worse. It seems to be like we are the most.
We have
away. So I set up for away games, at home games, but it gets worse. We get really paranoid. We've won 1 home game this season.
We have the same home record as the team who are bottom, and the same away record as the team who are top of the league.
See,
Is that right?
And it's not like this pressure playing at home because I think our fans are all right. I despite what anyone else says, and we have all these campaigns to make more noise. Blah blah. We'll talk about that later on. But I think that you can make noise, but it's more likely to be snoring at this rate if we're not careful. And we need to have posters that have that can stop us from falling asleep. I was looking around the ground. I took a photograph of Fulham. Remember I told you the people reading the paper, and I put it on Twitter. On Saturday I was looking around our ground, and people were just doing things. And it's got to be the football. It has to be the football. What do you think, Rob? Have we got the most negative Dutch manager ever? I don't want him sacked, by the way, before everyone says, they have a go at me, but I'm just thinking it goes some way to have the most negative Dutch manager ever, sure.
Well, I guess we wanted 2 strikers and Hasselbank gave us 3, but I guess the same
But no
result,
wingers.
But yeah, no, I just think it's such an imbalance in the squad. I think that we're just begging for a midfielder who can actually play between the lines because
Ali
every
Forlan?
time Forlan actually had the skill set, but you just see there's no one. Henry can't pass forward. He's a fine player, but he just doesn't pass forward. Borshek, I don't know if he can pass forward, but what ends up happening is Cherry keeps on dropping deeper and deeper, and then there's just an imbalance. So he gets the ball deep. The striker and the wingers are wide, and if he's deeper, then you play it long to Poulter. There's no one for the ball when it gets knocked down. So
Who does he think is his player who can play it forward?
I don't know. I mean,
Sounds like a great movie.
I wish there was someone
Kevin
who can just
Spacey.
pass it between the lines.
That was the difference between Reading and QPR. They had John Swift, and he was really good at that. They're number 8. Was Hasselbank? He's trying to build a team around Cherry, and he has got flashes of brilliance, which he hasn't showed for a while. He just hasn't been very good, I don't think, recently. On Saturday, he was not really in the game at all.
Did you read that Independent article? I think it was Independent. Was it Independent? I don't know.
I don't know what you're about to say.
Well, it was like about his background, about how hungry he is to succeed, and the lifestyle.
Cherry.
Yeah.
I didn't
And
read
he had a terrible upbringing, which is, we've all been there, I suppose. And he sounds like a lovely fella. And I just wonder sometimes, maybe he's a bit too nice. Maybe he needs to get stuck in more. I don't know. He needs to do something because it's like what you said in the pub. Bertram said last week, if you're going to build a team around Cherry, he has to have his Adele moments where he can just make things happen. And they're getting less and less. I'm getting quite worried about that. I'm also thinking you take the wingers off and you put the strikers on, but there's no one to cross the ball in the box. It's little things like that I don't get. All right, I'm not getting paid a fortune to manage a football team or make speeches, but I'm thinking that's pretty rubbish.
Is he? He's been here season and a half now, Cherry. I think he's a good player.
He's a very good player.
Is he this Adele Tarapt player who we should be building our team around? I'm not sure, or rather, that's a euphemism for I don't think so. And it's probably a bit unfair on him, isn't it? It's a bit unfair on him, and it's a bit unfair on the rest of the team because he is not necessarily that player. As you say, Chris, he has flashes of brilliance, but doesn't show them often enough, like Adele did when Adele was at his best. So therefore, don't build everything around him because it puts him under too much pressure. But it also inhibits the team because we're playing in this system that kind of all points towards him, and he's not that player.
Well, it's funny because when Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank was on the podcast, he said that he plays this formation so he can have Cherry as a number 10 because he's much more effective in that position. That's why he plays this formation. But he hasn't been effective in that position for a while now. So he has to make a big decision soon, I think, possibly even tomorrow night, whether to either drop him to the bench or play him as a winger and change the formation.
Yeah, but if you play him as a winger, you play 4-4-2. You have two strikers. You have Cherry on wide, who's not necessarily a great crosser, so he's kind of neutralized there. I mean, my issue, I don't even think Cherry's doing anything wrong. I think he's just getting the ball in the wrong spot, and it's because no one in the back four and no one in that midfield too can give him the ball where he wants it, which is closer to the opposing goal. He keeps on getting it deeper and deeper. I mean, I showed Finney before, if you look at his heat map from the last match, he's literally taking every touch at the halfway line, and it's because no one can give him the ball further up the pitch. So I almost feel like, I don't know if it's Luongo has to deliver him the ball or if it's Cousins. I don't know who needs to get him the ball in the spot he likes it, but getting the ball at the halfway line is not going to work for Cherry.
But if we play him in the left, which I'm thinking we probably will do, and we play in the centre half as a left back, that can
You
get
think
very
we'll play
messy.
that tomorrow night, or you think when the system has proven to not work, we'll play him on the left?
You could even play him in a 4-4-2 as a second striker, just behind Poulter.
Yeah. I even Southampton yesterday, they played Austin, another striker, and then they played a 10 behind them and then three midfielders. I don't get why we can't just do that. Put Henry in the middle, put two midfielders on the side and a 3, and then play him in that same 10 role.
Yeah, it's tough because our two wingers at the moment, Shadibo and Pavel, they're both kind of unproven and unexperienced at this level. I mean, they're both doing quite well, I think.
You don't
but
get experience unless you get played.
Yep.
I know, I'm not suggesting we drop them, but I'm just to play, you have to have like full confidence in them, and they have to be like firing on all cylinders for that kind of system to work.
But you know, I don't get, right? Explain this to me, and maybe the listeners are better educated than I am, because I wasn't very well educated. Anyway, if you're going to play a system we're playing, we have to make every corner count, don't we? We have to make every free kick count, because we seem to be absorbing pressure then coming at the side, blah, blah. Why can't we take a fucking corner? I mean, seriously, is it that hard for professional footballers on a small pitch to take a corner that might actually make one of our players? Enlighten me.
Get Gino Padula back on the training field.
But if we spaceman coming off the corners like that. No, but seriously, I mean, our set pieces are terrible. They really are. And it's just like, we've had an international break. We had the bounce back from Fulham, which, let's face it, was daylight robbery. And thank God for it, because it was marvellous. But I fear that if Jimmy doesn't get a win tomorrow night, if we don't get a decent result at Wednesday, Brentford could be toxic.
Explain to me. I'm not as kind of, admittedly, I'm not as astute on tactics as you guys are. So explain to me, the accepted wisdom is you can't play Cherry in the middle, because in the middle of a 4-4-2, in the middle of that 4, you need two box-to-box midfielders, right? And so therefore he can't play in the middle. But what used to happen with players like Cherry before the kind of systems of playing 3-5-2 or sorry, one up front as we're playing, where did they used to play those players?
Either as a central midfielder who defends a bit more, as a winger who can't play in that position, or as a second striker, I guess.
They kind of never played them as, like, you know, you have two central midfielders in the middle of that 4, and one does a bit more defensive work than the other, and one has more of a free rein. Before they invented one up front in this country, they played 4-4-2 for however many years, and had lots of creative midfielders that weren't stuck out on the wing. So I'm
Andy
sort
Simpson?
of sorry.
Andy Simpson, he was kind of that sort of player.
I think he was always on the wing, wasn't he?
He was on the wing, but he created a lot of goals. But he wasn't blessed with massive pace. But he was just clever, and he had players in the box. He was always one step ahead. But if you're actually looking for pace, Faraday had more pace, but Simpson had the ability to put a ball exactly at someone's feet from 35, 40 yards. So he was on the wing, but he was more effective as in what he did with the ball.
See, the fact that we're even discussing it shows that it is a problem, because, you know, when Adele was in the team in the Championship, he just had a free roll. He didn't really bother about it because he knew he was going to do something. Yeah.
Like Wegley did. To be fair, that's what Wegley did, especially at Leeds.
Well, as an American, we didn't know that soccer existed until about 2008, so I can't comment on what happened before, but what in Loftus Road, the stadium is so small. I mean, sometimes you watch free kicks from the defensive half and it looks like a set piece because the stadium is so small. You can play a more attack-minded system, because players can drop back into defensive position because it's such a small pitch. You go from defense to attack so quickly. So I would be fine with maybe playing a 4-4-2 and then just having Poulter drop back and then having Washington as the release point for a counterattack. But yeah, I'm perfectly fine just having a little bit less in the midfield if it means that we can have some more going forward. If one of those guys will drop back.
But we haven't got fullbacks as well, which is a massive problem. We're playing centre halves as fullback, and then Perch didn't make the position his own on Saturday by any stretch of imagination. And some would say that he was a wee bit awful.
Paul, Connor Washington watch?
Right. I'm getting to the stage now where you're kind of wondering if it is going to actually happen for the lad. But it's something we were discussing before the pod as well. Like since Austin scored more goals now in the Premier League this season than Washington scored for us since he's joined.
Yesterday, Austin scored more goals yesterday than Washington scored for us. Since he's been here in the league.
But then is Washington a finisher? I don't know. He seems to be very, very frustrated. Is he over trying? I don't know. It's sad because I think everyone wants him to do well. When he came on, like you said, the whole crowd was behind him. Everyone really, really wants him to do well. And
he did change the game, to be fair.
Yeah,
it just was that final ball.
Where would you play him, Paul?
In a green shirt, and then pretend to put a QPR shirt over it. It seems to work for him.
You look a little bit like Connor Washington, like an older version.
Seriously, I look more like a cross between Elvis Costello and Shrek. Anyway, but yeah, the thing about him is he there's something there, but we're not. See, I do wonder if we're bringing out the best in players. Lynch as a left back is just madness. Why do you not go 3 centre halves even and then put the defensive midfielder in front of the back three? I don't know, because it's not working. We're getting done, and he's and it's not. It's going to create confidence. I mean,
one of the things that worried me about the game actually is just seemed like they, on the left hand, the amount of times they passed it out to their right winger Reading, and they had so much space to attack.
But why not play the Finnish fella at left back?
He also holds an American passport, by the way.
Why not play the Finnish-American fella at left back? Nico, unpronounceable. I agree with you. I think against Birmingham we played 4 centre-backs across the back four. I can't remember.
We did against Fulham as well.
Against Fulham, yeah. So, he's obviously been, for want of a better word, grooming him to come on and develop in the team. Let's keep going. Let's keep it in the room, keep going. Why not play him? Because I agree with you. Lynch is sort of what he tried his best. Bless him. He tried to get down the line, tried to put those crosses in, but it's obvious he's a centre back.
Yeah, I think part of the issue too, and I actually think he's a wonderful young talent, and I think he has a great future ahead of him. So I'm not saying this in any way to disparage him, but I think Shodipo didn't necessarily provide the best coverage. I think he kept on drifting a little bit more towards the middle of the pitch when he should have been a little bit more wide, because that was the weak spot. The left side was the weak side. So I think he's not getting the best coverage on that side, but he's not a left back. I mean, he's not built to be a left back. So even when he was coming forward, he couldn't play the cross. I mean, it's not his fault. He's just put out of position. So hopefully we can sort it out with an actual real left back pretty soon.
Lynch is ideal partner is him and Hall, because Lynch is just they shall not pass. He's that sort of player. Completely wasted as a left back, in my humble opinion.
And sorry, go on.
I was just going to say Huddersfield, top 2 or 3 in the table at the moment, doing really well. Their budget is bottom 4 of the Championship. They haven't spent that much money. Just got players in that the manager knows well from his time in Germany. Do you think that QPR have bought wisely enough to challenge with this group of players over the next year, or do you think it's more of a problem of tactics?
You'll get hammered on Twitter for that, because a lot of people on Twitter think we haven't actually spent that much money, but if you actually look at a lot of the players, they've cost over £2 million. The forward line on Saturday.
Yeah, it's all relative. Huddersfield are just proving that you can.
But everyone said,
we're
not spending as much as we did in the Premier League. Well, we're not in the Premier League. That's why. But we're still spending a lot of money.
I mean, it's interesting because it was an interesting transfer approach, because if you look at a lot of the players, Naboto or Yanni, whatever his name is, although I don't know where he's been.
No, yeah.
I think you're the person
Silla.
Personal issues, hasn't he?
Okay. Now you're making me feel bad.
We're not trying to. We're not trying to. You didn't know.
Silla, quite a few of the 2 Polish lads. I mean, they've really recruited a lot of players who have never played in England before. And the Championship is a pretty difficult league, so I'm curious if the recruitment strategy was one designed to maybe make a push next year once these players have had a few months to settle in, because Poulter wasn't great at the beginning of last year. Cherry wasn't necessarily lighting it up at the beginning of last year, and they've actually become pretty good players, so it may just be the adjustment period.
And finally, because we need to go to Peter Hucker, but we can't wrap up Saturday without talking about our sweeper keeper. and it's a question that we'll ask Peter Hucker. But Smithies got us a point on Saturday, didn't he?
He was great. Great headers outside the box.
To be fair, there's a few of our centre halves come down from that. He actually didn't hit it to somebody else either. He probably.
Can you remember a period where we have had two keepers as good as what we've got now? I can't really, between Hucker and Barron, and now when we've had two keepers that are quite that good. I can't remember with Seaman who crossed over with him.
Was
it Nicky Johns?
Nicky Johns.
Robert? So maybe Seaman and Tony Roberts.
Who was there with Burridge? Chris Wood was there. Two together.
Okay, so at least where we've had two keepers as good as the two keepers we've got
Ingram
now.
and Smithies.
Yeah.
So you think they're better than Smithies and Rob Green, for example?
Or Cesar.
Well,
Sorry.
okay, so two keepers that have been good whenever they've played for QPR, not two keepers that are kind of good on paper or reputation, because I'm not one of those who kind of beats up on Green, but you can't really judge like Green and Smithies together because Green was pretty much out of the club. But I mean, the keeper we got playing and the keeper on the bench, whenever they have played, both of those keepers are very, very good.
Well, Ingram I thought he could have done better against Sunderland last time he played. He parried this for their second goal. He's parried it straight into someone's path, had them to score the winner.
But then you could argue the defence wouldn't help him out. I'm trying to think. That's a good question, because I'm trying to think. Mike Kelly was there for a while. He didn't get playing that much because Phil Parks was just so damn good. That's the trouble as well. When you've got one will eventually go, and that's it. But yes, that's a very good question. We'll get someone is going to point out the bleeding obvious system or that we've missed out, and we're going to feel really embarrassed, and they'll say you should not have a podcast. But it's a good question.
I would actually play them both at the same time. I think Smithies on that performance should be playing in central midfield as a defensive midfielder.
True.
But the only thing, before we go to Peter Hucker as well, the only thing, and you can see with Smithies, he's trying to find that pass all the way through the game to open the attack up as well. And he is trying. It's not really his fault the players aren't running the positions where he's putting it.
Yeah, I think he set up QPR's best attack in the second half, didn't he? Yeah.
I think he's a great keeper. I think he's a great signing. It's a shame we didn't play him earlier.
Just speaking to a Huddersfield fan before we played them earlier in the season, he was saying that he is a very good shot stopper, but he can be suspect with crosses.
He was excellent in the podcast as well. I wasn't on it, but he came across
very
as a lovely
good.
fella.
He was very good. And let me say, I wasn't here for Bircham podcast, but it was a brilliant podcast.
We can't take any credit for
I
that.
enjoyed it immensely. I laughed, hooted with laughter like everybody else did apparently on Twitter from all the feedback.
Hooted with laughter.
Well, I'm just trying to find the right word. Right, should we go to Peter Hucker?
I go on.
Bit of luck. He's on the end of the line now. Peter, thanks for joining us. We'll ask you a bit more about Saturday and the Ex-Players Association in a bit, but we were just talking about Alex Smithies' performance on Saturday, and seeing as you were at the game, what did you think? We thought he was great on Saturday.
Yeah, I like him. I think he can command his box very well. He's on his toes for everything that's being played through. Good shot stopper. Yeah, looks like he's got a lot of potential.
Well, we're glad you agree with us.
Yep.
So, Peter, then, following on from the goalie, let's talk a little bit about the Forever Ours club. So, we all saw you on the pitch on Saturday at half-time. How was the day?
Oh, fantastic. Nice to meet up with old friends as it always is. It's always great to go back to QPR. I love it when I go back there. Always get a great reception, family club, and that's the feel you get of it.
And it's some people are saying it's long overdue.
Definitely,
this
definitely.
club.
I mean, I don't know how long ago it was that I left, but I think I got invited back twice, and no contact with the club at all, really. Overall, I think if you go to most other clubs, they have some form of recognition of their ex-players, and I think you need to have it. There's a lot of people who have done a lot for that club in different things, and to be honest, I think there's a few people, not players, who should be recognised as well. Daphne Briggs being one of them.
Yeah, agreed.
she needs to be recognised in it as well, not just players. I just think it's a great idea. I hope they get it off the ground. I hope it works. I think it will get a lot of support from the players. Just chatting to the few that were there and would like to meet up at other events and, just keep in touch with what's happening.
And what did you, from Saturday and chatting with the other players and chatting with the club, what form do you think the association's going to take? What's going to happen with it now?
Well, I mean, what they're hoping for is to put on some golf days and things that supporters can join in with, and meet up with the players, maybe some dinners, maybe some appearances in local pubs and things like that, just to get, the ex-players as it is at the moment, back in touch with the supporters. I think they should do it with, a lot more with the current squad, but always very tricky.
Okay.
Much easier to be done with people who you can't blame for last week.
That's true. And okay, so tell us, although we've mentioned Smithies briefly, what did you think about everything else that happened, that went on the pitch on Saturday?
Difficult one. Not sure what the shape is of the team at the moment, to be honest with you. Doesn't seem to be a great deal of communication between the players. Doesn't seem to be a lot of attacking options. I don't know. It's how long. You have to give people time. You have to give people a chance to settle a squad. You come in with what you've got. You're restricted by money and what you've got. It's about, can you get players to buy into what you're trying to do. However, I've seen Rangers about 4 times this season. I still haven't got a clue what they're trying to do. I see no shape in the team whatsoever.
Yeah, it's not good. Hey, Peter, going back to your time, and we've talked about Saturday, and I'm still trying not to fall. Oh yeah, still not trying to fall asleep. I'm thinking about it when you were
at the performance on the pitch, not Peter.
No, Peter was all right. He was jolly decent. Hello. You didn't actually wave to me, Peter, which I took as a personal insult, but no. When you were at QPR, who was the worst manager you played under? I think I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask it anyway.
Well, I don't think anyone is any doubt who the worst manager was. That's Alan Mullery by a million miles, and I can't even say manager. I can't even speak because he wasn't. He was a non-entity.
Really?
That's the best I can give you.
Okay.
Elaborate.
And
tell us more, Peter.
Everyone talks about the Newcastle game. We're 4-0 down at half time. What did Alan Mullery say? Sort of, and then Fenn just said, "Well, let's stop." Terry Fenwick said, "Well, let's stop playing the way you've set us up this half and play the way we normally play."
So it was Fenwick took control then?
Yeah.
Gee. And I remember hearing about it the day. I was far too young to travel on the plane to the European games, but apparently he was quite interested in flying to that game in Belgrade.
Yeah, it's very interesting game. It's a very good plan. We're 4 goals to the good.
Yep.
And we're going to play 1 up front away from home. Fantastic. Love it. I think that's a great idea. Set ourselves up, but his plan, and we did this behind closed doors, covered all the fences up, was we're going to play him wide.
The one up front wide?
We played 1 player up front wide.
Oh.
And I think you'll find that their sweeper probably created all four of their goals. Just had nothing to do. We're trying to find somebody trying to hit a needle in a haystack. It was ridiculous.
And is that why
Mullery thought that was tactical genius on his part.
So
you liked him?
I loved him.
So on the plane, I guess a few words were exchanged on the way back then.
Not by me.
There's something happened on this plane that Finney knows, and he's trying to lead you into it, Peter.
No,
so
just said.
Whatever he's getting at, enlighten the rest of us.
I'm not sure. I think it may have involved some Welshmen, but I'm not sure.
Anyway, Peter,
a very large Welshman.
and maybe a Northern Irishman.
Could have been.
Yeah. All I'm saying, brilliant to see you guys back on Saturday. Brilliant to see the Forever Irish Club get launched in a positive way, as it should be. It's something that we've been banging on this podcast for a very long time, and well done to the club for doing it. And great to see you guys back. I'm sure a lot of people said to you, bring your boots as well.
Yeah, thanks very much. Somebody said to us, why didn't you walk around the pitch? I said, most of us couldn't have made it around the pitch.
And it was great to see Stan back as well.
Oh, fantastic. Do you know what? Sad as it is in a way, you know, he was sort of had a quick chat with him before we went out on the pitch, you know, up in the lounge and that, and it was, you know, it's a sad thing to see, but the minute he stepped on that pitch, different. He just came alive. So something in there just triggers it. You know, it was just fantastic to see from somebody who was sort of, what a terrible disease that is. You know, not sure what was going on. The minute he stepped on that pitch to that crowd and got the ovation that he you know, desperately deserves. You remember, I used to see him. I was an apprentice. I was his apprentice actually for his room. But you know, to see the things he did on the pitch and then realise that he did 10 times that on the training field, you know, just a genius. And it was good. It's so good just to see him light up as he walked out. And yeah, got the adulation he deserves.
Peter, can I ask you, on the kind of ex-players association, QPR wasn't the only club that you played for. What do your other clubs that you played for do, and how involved are you in going back to those?
Well, you know, QPR was my club. That's be all and end all of it. I mean, Oxford have one that I wasn't there really. You know, it's very difficult going somewhere for 2 or 3 years and trying to become part of that. I was at QPR at 13. You know, I think, I can't remember, it was 11, 12 years I was there, in all 13 years maybe. So it was my club. I'd been to Arsenal as a kid, I'd been to Chelsea as a kid, I hated them.
Oh, you and me both, brother.
It was a totally different atmosphere at QPR. You know, we at 13, during the school holidays, we'd be invited down to training, and I'd be training with Phil Parkes. You know, that would never happen today, for one. But, you know, that's how I learnt my trade. With goalkeepers of that calibre, you know, Dave Sexton took time with all the young players, all the youth team. Frank McClintock would come over and run a session with the defence, you know, just tricks of the trade, and that was the atmosphere. It was the whole club. At the other ones, it was like, well, you know, you're a nobody unless you finally make it to the first team or whatever you do. But QPR, you always felt part of it. And that's the difference. You know, it'd be very difficult for me to say, you know, well, yeah, I love going back to Oxford and whatever. You know, I enjoyed Oxford. They weren't my club. Circumstance got me to move, you know, and rightly so. It was so, you know. But if you look at most other clubs, they have. I mean, Tottenham have a very big thing with ex-players. They have their ex-players team. They have an ex-players golf things. Constantly doing stuff, and I just think it's nice that the you know, supporters can get closer to the players and ask the questions you're asking me now, which is, you know,
great answer.
In private might get the right answer.
But Peter, I may have this completely wrong, but did you go to Man United on loan?
I did. I had 2 little spells up there.
Under Alex Ferguson. So
under Alex Ferguson.
I don't imagine you were there long enough to be part of their ex-players association, but it'd be quite a good one to brag about if you were.
Well, I still have the letter from Alex Ferguson thanking me for my fantastic professionalism and everything I did for them up there, which just shows the calibre of that man.
Did you put it beside the one you got from Mullery?
No, I put it with Mullery's book where he accused me of getting in the sack. Oh. But there you go. Picked on the wrong person. Picked on the wrong person again. I know who got him the sack, and it certainly wasn't me.
Oh, okay. Well, we're not going to ask you on the podcast.
Alan Mullery got himself the sack by the sounds of it.
Well, let's just say that 3 players would have walked out of the club after the Stoke game
Oh. Okay.
if he'd have remained manager. That's why he went winning.
Wow. Okay.
And was one of them Hucker P?
No,
Okay.
Oh,
not at all. Not at all.
Like-
Not at all. I wasn't one of Jim Gregory's favourites. So let's just leave it at that.
Now, funny enough, you mentioned Jim. I want to ask you about him just briefly.
Yep.
What was that whole experience about taking that Queen's Park Rangers side to Wembley like twice?
Just out of this world. It was, we certainly weren't expected to get there, although we were playing very good football at the time. And, we're the underdogs, nothing to lose. For us, equalising in the last 3 minutes, it's like winning it. I know for a fact they cancelled their victory dinner.
No.
On the Saturday, Tottenham, and we went ahead with ours, and it was great. And Jim Gregory was the best out of everybody. He was well up for a party, Jim. Yeah, absolutely loved it. You can't beat that experience. You can't buy that experience. It was still just about in the time when Wembley was a special place to play. Now everybody plays there, so. And the atmosphere, the crowd, fantastic. QPR have got a great following, a fantastic following. What they need is something to follow.
Very good. Peter, thank you very much for coming on.
No problem.
Think you've been on before, but always welcome. And
Thank you.
great to hear from you. And I'm really pleased to hear. We're all really pleased to hear about the Forever Ours Club and that you had a great experience on Saturday. And hopefully, it's the
It was
first of
brilliant.
many of those.
Well organised
gatherings.
by Andy Sinton, shall I say, and whoever helped them. Very
Come
well
for a beer
organised.
next time.
Definitely. Just come and grab me. It's easy.
We will. We'll hold you to that.
It's easy when somebody's offering beer. I don't resist.
Well, May is 25 years since the 1982 Cup final.
Right.
So that sounds like quite a good live podcast theme for us, doesn't
Sounds
it,
like a
Paul?
party.
You're not wrong.
Sounds like a good one to me. We'll book you in now. All right, thanks very much.
Could be Rangers back there again that year.
What, this year?
This year, there you go.
Let's hope so.
I believe in
Yeah.
miracles.
Automatic
You
promotion.
never know, big man. Thanks for coming on, big
never
fella.
know.
Really appreciate
No
it.
problem.
Thanks very
Take
much. Bye-bye.
Cheers, mate.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay. Right. Great interview. We should have him on more often. I think it was a few years ago we last had him on, but always good to speak to him. Right, we've got quite a lot to get through in the next 10 minutes. Hashtag make some noise. I'm looking at you, Chris. So, if you've been on the moon for the last week, the club...
I haven't.
You haven't, but I'm talking to anybody out there who may have been on the moon. You never know. Tim Peake may listen to our podcast.
Big QPR
or
fan.
similar people. The club launched a campaign urging fans to help with the atmosphere called Make Some Noise. They launched some photography and some posters with our German centre forward mimicking a World War I recruitment campaign.
How could that not work?
What's not to like about it?
I never thought of that.
You can't.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't. You can see what they're trying to do, and Ian Taylor did explain on Twitter that it was a kind of supporter-led idea, but you can't fabricate atmosphere because it's just an emotional thing, and it comes from a reaction to seeing the team performing well and just being generally excited about the way they play. So, I mean, it probably would have got even more noise if they had a campaign for everyone to shut up. It's.
The weird thing is, that video they did, we'll do our bit, pointing at you through the screen. They're giving it, we'll do our bit, pointing at you.
So you think we should have a campaign, make some goals campaign?
No,
for players?
Make some goals.
I like that.
It's
And
true.
Yeah, no, but I like that because at least they tried to get through to you. Like, I genuinely felt they were talking to me, and you know like you do when you go to a concert when you're young, and someone looks at you in the band, and you think, oh, they look, yeah, whatever. And I thought, yeah, and then you turn up 15 minutes in, and you're going, for fuck's sake, really? What? I mean, I will make noise if you can complete a pass, chase a ball, go one-on-one with the goalkeeper, create. And I'm not saying they're not trying, because they are trying. Maybe they should say to Jimmy, let's create some tactics. And then we'll create some noise at the great tactics, at the great goals, because football's pretty simple. You make it entertaining, you get the fans inside, you show effort. We were talking in the pub when the tackle was made by the Polish lad. He probably went into your man, and the whole crowd lifted it. That's what brings.
We
it.
know his name now. It's 3 weeks. You can call someone the nationality lad for. We now know his name. It's Shoek.
The English lad in goal is awesome.
Yeah. No, you can call him the
don't
Polish
keep-
lad up
alright.
until third
Okay.
appearance, really.
All right, to be fair, I would call Conor Washington the Northern Irish lad, except he's born in England. Anyway, but there's that. It's so obvious that there's so many things a club need to do to improve atmosphere. A leaflet and a poster probably isn't the one I would have chosen. There's a lot of things they do in match days which is concentrated purely on the family stand, which is brilliant. They need to go round the ground more and bring in everyone else around the ground, because having to be a tent in the family area.
But there was a 10-minute period in the second half where the atmosphere
Yeah, I
did
thought
pick
it was
up,
good.
and it was because QPR were on the front foot.
Yeah. So the American lad, what do you think?
Yeah, I think we should.
All
Well,
right.
keeping with the theme, I think we
Up
need
until
to,
his third podcast, we can call him the American lad.
All right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, I think we need to make Loftus Road great again, as Donald Trump has said about the United States. But no,
Did you really say that?
I don't think don't think that a campaign really helps, and a lot of the common tropes about why the atmosphere isn't great, or at certain games 12:30 starts, things like that, unattractive football. I went to the Fulham match; it started at 12:30. The atmosphere was insanely good.
That's true.
We've gone to away matches where, frankly, the performance was absolutely shit and the support was good, and that's 4,000 fans. And what I don't understand is what's the disconnect, because Loftus Road only has 15,000 or 16,000 people, so. It's surely not just the football, because I've gone to away matches and cheered on, frankly, dire football. So I just don't know what it is. I mean, it's truly a perplexing question, but it is a shame because, I mean, I've only been supporting QPR for a few years, but it's such a different atmosphere. I remember last year at the Brighton match or some of the other better matches. It's just so flat, and I bring a lot of my American mates to matches, and I feel so disappointed when the crowd is flat, because I feel like I'm not showing them what QPR is actually like. But no, I think even from the fans, I mean, we have players who are pretty popular players like Smithies and Cousins and things like that, and we don't have songs for our own keeper. So why is the fan base why is that the case? I mean, I don't know what we need to do to make sure that these players that are pretty popular have their own songs that we can sing to get behind them. But yeah, that needs to be fixed.
The songs now are just everyone else's club song changed names.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what they do. Whereas, Stevie Wicks, Eyes of Blue, 6'2", you don't get them anymore, do you? Hey, they were the ones.
Well, of course, there's a lot of discussion around the position of the family stand, and
Well, that was always a bad idea.
Traditionally, the loft, upper and lower, sucks the ball in towards it. The crowd wheels it into the goal, and
You neutralise the end. That's the problem we have. We're not. The only noise you get is a packed away end. You get a packed top, bottom, and tier away end. We can't come back with that, and all the noise is focused in one area. I'm not saying the family stand should be moved now. It's there. It is what it is. But in design and concept, maybe it should have been split half and half, because we don't seem to get much noise from the loft these
Just
days.
encourage people who make all the noise to have families.
Maybe.
So I like
Dating app.
the family stand, and I've got a 6-year-old
have it
daughter
there?
who comes sometimes. I would like the club to experiment and do trials where quote unquote non-real fans or whatever non-families are in the loft, and maybe that isn't the reason. Maybe it's got nothing to do with it, but let's try it. We have cup games, we have midweek games where we know a lot of kids don't go to. Let's try some games where we play around with who's in the lower loft and see if it makes a difference. And I've got a lot of time for a lot of people at the club, but I find Lee Hoos very inflexible on this discussion point. I think he's a very dynamic CEO who is just not trying to find a dynamic solution or trial to whether it's worth experimenting with the lower loft, and I think he should.
Yeah, I mean, I actually asked this question at the fans forum, but what he said, it seems like a persuasive point from a business perspective, which is that in order to retain a young fan base, you have to create a section for them to come, and having that section encourages more young fans who might otherwise be going to bigger clubs with greater TV visibility. So I kind of am sympathetic to that point, and I also think logistically it might be difficult to switch mid-year, but it's
that's all valid, and the club do great stuff. Whether being behind the goal in that stand is going to be the difference between a youngster coming back or not, I'm not sure. And I say this with my brother and my nephew sit in the family stand, and I think it's great. I just don't know whether it needs to be there.
The problem we have is we have a very small ground.
Yes.
Wherever you were going to do that family stand,
Well, we don't fill it.
You were going to upset people, and a lot of people
Correct.
they get upset. So if you move it again, you're going to upset a whole load of new people.
Was it genuinely a problem before we had that family stand? Were a lot of people badgering for a family stand? Was
Not really. I mean, the thing is that the problems we used to have in the 80s and 90s, because I'm older than you lot, is that we would play someone and have 20,000 odd there, and then next week we'd play Coventry and we'd have 8,000. I mean, it went up and down, and the atmosphere was never electric at a lot of times, but it was better than what it is now. I always thought that maybe the lower school end could have been a family stand, or maybe the middle of the Elsley, where you're not too near the away fans, you're not too near Q Block. Not that there's anything wrong with Q Block, but the songs make it a bit fruity, and things like that there. So, but you're going to upset people now. You've already upset one group of people. The ground is just too small. Most of these family designs now are designed in concept with new grounds, so they're there from birth. So no one's been sitting there for 60 years of families. The problem we've got is that people have been moved, they're aggrieved by it, and it's not working. How it's not working, I don't know. And the staff, that the only place where there's a bar is in the family stand. But there you
Okay, we have to finish up this topic. Just, will we be seeing hashtag make some noise again?
I don't think so.
Anyone?
I welcome the club's idea. I just hope next time they get it right better. Oh yeah.
Oz End. This is the part of the show where we talk about anything and everything. We haven't had a chance to yet. We've done a long podcast tonight, Harry, haven't we? How long have we been? 46 minutes, which is longer than normal, so we need to get this done really in the next few minutes.
That's a nice way of saying hurry up.
Hurry up to everyone. Let me do mine first then, whilst you think about it. We are a finalist for the Football Blogging Awards in the podcast category.
Well, hey.
Do some kind of whoop. So
What the fuck was that? Flip was
there
that?
is the Football Blogging Awards have received 1,000 different podcast blogs nominated, and we are in is it the final 6 or the final 8?
Final 8.
Final 8 for Football Podcast of the Year, up against people such as Jay from the In-Betweeners, who does the Dream Team podcast. Bob Mortimer out of Vic and Bob, who does Atletico Mint. Why am I plugging the other people in our category?
you might as well
Forget the others.
Big names, not very good podcasts.
Big. That's a good slogan. So we're going up to Manchester on November the 17th.
To make
and
some noise.
there are 2 awards in each category, right? There's the vote, so we encourage you to vote for us. If you go on our Twitter page, the pinned tweet is the link that you need to do to vote. Please, 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 can you get this is a direct appeal to listeners, can you get everybody you know to vote for us? We would really, really appreciate that. Desperate enough? The other one is the judges' vote, and anybody. So this is like they actually have a judging panel, and they presumably the fans' vote is like based on quantity, and the judges' vote is based on quality. So these judges listen to the podcasts, and then will decide on who the
We have to
winner
be
are.
the hairdresser.
I'm going to read you out the list of judges. If anybody knows anyone,
Jesus, Dave,
please
don't get
beg
stopped.
them. No, Phil McNulty, Joe Tongue, Barney Ronay, Paolo Bandini, Paul Cannonville. First time and last time he's ever going to be mentioned on this podcast. Danny Webber, Lindsay Hooper, Bianca Westwood, Luke Edwards, Shelley Alexander, Paul Plunkett, Natalie Pinks, Graham Bailey, Kate Riley, Rachel Brown-Finnis, she's the goalie, isn't she? Paddy Higgs, Natalie Pike. I'm bored already.
Right,
I'm not going to
don't
go through the
stop
rest of the
them.
list.
Make some
But
votes.
ask
Stop
our
them.
judges, just votes.
But please
votes.
don't stalk the judges. That's kind of wrong and can end up in jail. Just
Paul.
gently persuade them to vote for us. Hello.
Your R's end.
My RZ is quite. I'm going to do 2 quick ones, very quick ones. Well done to the club on doing Forever Ours. Ian Gillard came on this podcast a few years ago and was very dismissive of what the club were doing. Ian Gillard is now the life president of River Oz. Well done. Really
Would
proud
you
of that.
say that we are responsible indirectly for the establishment of Forever Ours?
We are responsible for making people mindful of the fact that it needed one, perhaps. But I wouldn't like to claim it because the club have put the hard work in and we can't take credit. But you're welcome, QPR.
When we turn off the record button, would you like us to take credit for it?
Right.
Okay, second one.
Second one, there may be three here. The second one is this time next week is my daughter's 15th birthday, and I will be in Nando's with 22 15-year-olds. Please pray for me. Lily, if you listen to this podcast, I love you. You're a wonderful daughter, but you really need to start thinking about getting a job, yeah? Okay. Anyway, so happy birthday, and please get a job. You're costing me a fortune, and I can't keep up with it anymore.
Happy birthday, Lily.
Yeah, thank you. And the last point I will make is, forget make some noise, forget all the posters, forget all the leaflets you're going to throw on the floor. Just be Queen's Park Rangers. That's what you're best at.
That was a great 2 points. It was 3. Very good.
I could have gone on about transport and getting here and why is it everyone that uses the tube these days is an arse? You lot that commute, I salute you. I can't do it anymore. People are so horrible on the tubes.
This is much. You should save that for your Comedy Store gig.
Yeah, no, we'll save that for next week.
yeah.
This
But it's
weekend.
true. In the last 5 years, it's got worse.
Rahul, you're going to go last because we invite our guests to go last. So, Chris,
I just want to echo what you were saying, David, about it'd be great if as many of you as possible could vote for us for best podcast.
I mean, I made a
Fucking
hash of
Blogging Awards.
asking people to vote for us, but
Mainly as well because in the same category as us, there's a Chelsea podcast, and even if we don't win it, it'd be great to get your votes just so we can finish above them.
It'll almost be John Byrne like 6-0.
Exactly. It's at Old Trafford as well. When was the last time QPR?
It
won
is at Old Trafford.
Yeah. So it'd be great to get a win there.
The awards are at Old Trafford. Yes. Roll. Oh, sorry. Had you finished, Chris?
I had pretty much finished, yeah. But if you'd like to vote for us, it's the pinned tweet on the QPR Pod Twitter account. Click the link
There you go.
And I will come round and thank every single person that votes for us.
for what they've done for the pod.
Yeah.
Yes.
While you're having your breakfast.
Roll.
Well, I'd like to thank Finney for for
Very
giving me,
good.
for giving me the invitation a little bit last second, but I made it out here. And just wanted to note, we also had the Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank internal investigation, and he was cleared of wrongdoing by the club. So just pointing that out there, leaving it there, and that's it. But thanks for inviting me to the pod. Was very happy to join.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Come back.
Yes.
50th guest. You go down in history, and you can start us off on the predictions because we have 2 games. Before the next podcast, we have Bristol City and Sheffield Wednesday away. Your prediction?
I will go with 1-0 tomorrow against Bristol City. I think we should win that game. I think we'll win it at home. I think the fans will get behind us. And then Sheffield Wednesday, I'll go with the 0-0 draw.
Christopher.
Just because it's just going with the trend for this season, I think we'll lose at home to Bristol City and beat Sheffield Wednesday away.
I'm going to go exactly the same as you, Raoul. I think we'll win 1-0 tomorrow and draw on Saturday. Paul, complete the podcast for us.
I think tomorrow is going to be massive amounts of noise. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be end to end. It's going to be Brazilian style football when Brazil were good, not this Mickey Mouse side you have.
Is there
now.
another game on somewhere else?
Brazil turned into Harlem Globetrotters years ago, and it'll be like 1970 all over again. It'll be end to end. It'll be brilliant. And yeah, we'll probably lose 1-0 and get spanked by Sheffield Wednesday. No, but realistically, need to win tomorrow and get a draw Saturday at Sheffield Wednesday. We have the players. We will do our part. You do yours.
Very good. Thank you, everyone, for coming in. This has been the Open All R's podcast. Okay, so we signed out, but we were so overexcited we forgot to do something at the end of the podcast. So this is sort of like the second end to the podcast, right, Paul?
It is indeed, and it's a song by Emily Capel, and she's been brilliant, as you know, in the live podcast, and she's done a wee song for us to get you all voting for us at the Bloggers Award.
So playing us out is Emily Capel with, what's the name of the song?
It's called the QPR Podcast. Please vote for a song.
We're open all ours, baby. That's where we're at. You can tune in on a Tuesday morning for some QPR chat. players can come to the studio and tell us times that they've scored, and all the fans can give their opinions whether we win, lose or draw. Jimmy's defending the season, and Birchie clears up that Stoke attack, and Clint Hill speaks on the phone, and it makes us all want him back. Yeah, it's hi-ho, Queen's Park Rangers, every single match. Oh baby, Chris, Dave and Paul talk about the players wearing the badge. Yeah, it's hi-ho, Queen's Park Rangers, every single week. Yeah baby, from Loftus Road, we're the blue of my army. There's no other broadcast like the podcast.
The QPR podcast is supported by Ubico, the provider of rental cars by the hour, who are giving away over £2,000 in credit to our listeners. For your chance to win up to £250 in free credit towards away game travel, short journeys across town, or car club use, enter now at west12media.co.uk/enter. To find out more, visit ubico.co.uk or download their app now.
QPR.